Hey, anybody else experiencing weird, glitchy timeline stuff? OMG. So I'm Laurie Lynnsee, and if you don't follow me, start following me because weird shit happens to me all the time. So if you follow me, you know that I'm on the first name basis with a lot of people at my pharmacy. I have a chronic illness, and so I'm in there every few weeks getting, no prescriptions are ever lined up so I can just go on one day and pick everything up. No, that would be way too easy for me, way too easy. So I take migraine medicine, and they only give you 9 pills, which is a joke because you use up those pills so darn fast. Anyways, I called on Wednesday of last week and said, hey, I need a refill. And the system says, good news, you have refills available. We will get this ready by noon tomorrow, which was Thursday. I'm like, great. I pressed the 1 saying I was good with that. I come in the next day at about 3, and they're acting like I didn't put in anything in the system. And another thing weird I noticed is that every person in that pharmacy was different. I didn't know any of them. And I made that comment when I walked up. I said, wow, a lot of new people. And she responds, the gal at the counter responds, she said, I've been here for years. And in my head, I'm like, not in my timeline, you haven't, but I don't say it. So I give her my name, and she goes on like this, and she goes, I need you to step aside. I'm like, okay, I've never been asked to, it's like, being pulled because they don't have the fries ready at McDonald's. She goes like this, you'll have to step aside. So I walk to the other booth, which is where you drop off prescriptions. And I can't even remember the last time I dropped off a prescription because everything is now automated, right? So the gal is like clicking away. And several people come up and interrupt her, but she never turns to me and says, hey, I'll be with you in just a moment. She's click. I'm thinking, this is so odd because I usually walk through the door and I'm not saying I'm an important person. I'm just saying that the way this pharmacy operated was, hey, Laurie, how are you? They greeted people by name. They got to know people. So finally she turns to me and she goes, what do you need? And I said, I'm here to pick up a prescription. She goes, you need to talk to her. And I said, she sent me to you. She pulled me over here. And she goes, oh, well, let me put you... And she said, we don't have a record. So, and you're out of refills. And then I said, I called last night and it said, you have refills. We'll have this ready by noon tomorrow. And she goes, our automated system doesn't say those things. And I said, well, the pharmacy I go to, which is Hugo, that's where I live, Hugo Pharmacy, it does and has for years. I've lived here for over 10 years. And I'm just like, and I said, and I find this really odd that all of you are new. All of you are new. I don't recognize one person here. I said, so when did you start? I'm trying to be friendly. I'm trying to make... And she's like, oh, I've been here a while. I was here 2 weeks ago. None of these people were there. None of them. So, of course, I leave on vacation without my medication because nobody at that pharmacy would go the extra mile. The people who used to work there would say, oh my gosh, Laurie, I'm so sorry. You're having a migraine? Let me help you out. And they would literally walk over to the clinic and walk into somebody's office and get them to sign it. That's how good they were. They're just good people. In fact, this prescription comes in foil packets that I can't open, and the pharmacy takes them out and puts them in a bottle for me. Okay, so that's a little preview. I got my thing. They won't do that. So it got filled Friday late afternoon, and I was already gone. Today I go in and I get my prescription, and guess what? The old team is there. The old pharmacy team is there. And I said, so good to see you. And she goes, well, you were just here last week. And I said, okay. I mean, in my head, I'm thinking, do I tell them that I'm crazy? It was the old pharmacy team. And I thought, okay, are these people going to know that they're supposed to, who filled this? I keep thinking they're going to hand me the foil packets in the little cardboard box. Nope, it came like that. I was definitely in the Twilight Zone last week. Definitely in the Twilight Zone. Does shit like that ever happen to you? Or is it just me in my funky woo-woo world? Huh. What do you mean? You just saw me last week. Well, you might have saw me, but I didn't see any of you. course, I didn't say that. Some of them do know I'm woo-woo because they follow me. And they'll probably all laugh at this video. They'll probably share it, especially the clinic. The clinic people will probably be like, oh my God, that's so weird. So does that ever happen to you? I want to hear your stories of glitches in the timeline or matrix glitches or timeline jumps or whatever it is. Whatever it is, I want to hear your story because that was a weird one. Kind of like a few months ago when a business just like appeared on the road that I take every single day. Poof! It just appeared like an established business. So has that ever happened to you? I want to hear your stories. Love and light.